was captured 11 days later, survived the gunshot, was charged with assaulting police, and then also charged with a murder of a security guard. And he was convicted and sentenced to death. In 1972, the state of California, the Supreme Court declared the death penalty unconstitutional, and as a result, everybody on death row had his sentence commuted to life in prison with the possibility of parole. However, most of those people have been paroled, and so this is where you see the political part, because he went into prison as a political prisoner. In other words, because he was in the Black Panther Party, because he was involved, and because the police were constantly assaulting our cars. I mean, you cannot imagine day to day. I mean, every day, one of us was, I can't imagine a week going by where I was a spread eagle, and they would not make a distinction. This is when chauvinism didn't play much. But do you have a problem being patted down? No. Not with that big 44 non-standard issue gun at my head. I don't have a problem doing anything. And I mean, that's what the LAPD did, and it was particularly rough. And so Chip comes out of that. And of all the people who have been in the party, and all the people who are actually in prison today, he's really the, in terms of the political spectrum, I would say that he's the longest held political prisoner, 40 years. And he's amazingly strong and sharp. And fit, he tells me. You know, he works out every day. He had a stroke. He survived it. He's done his time, but he has not given up on any principles, which I find incredible. He's not, you know, George Jackson said, "You'll never count me among the broken men," and that cannot be counted among the broken men. So, you know, he is truly a heroic figure. He's never been self-promoting, as you know, and has always been a person who has said, I'm down with everything, and very strong. And so Chip Fitzgerald, you know, we're raising a campaign. We're trying still to get him out. He goes before the parole board again this year. If he gets denied, we've gotten a wonderful new lawyer out of Oakland, named Keith Watley. And if he gets denied, we are still we'll go to court and try to overturn the board's decision, which we think will be successful in doing. This last year, you know, in the state of California, the parole board is like 20-some people, but 2 of them visit each inmate that they're going to, whose case they're reviewing. And in this case, it was a white woman and a black man. And the black man got into a challenge of Chip, like, why would you kill this other guy who was just trying to, he went into this whole thing about, is being black being a killer? You know, it just went crazy, and a whole political agenda after 40 years. You know, it's like, let it go. It's just enough time, you know. And so people, and I've had people say to me, well, isn't he guilty? And there's no contextualization for what happened back in the day. And he is truly one of the casualties of the war that was waged against the Black Panther Party. But he has amazingly survived with an incredible spirit and an indomitable spirit of revolutionary. And that, you know, we're not playing that up, but we're not playing it down. You know? So, any other questions? Yes?
You know, like recently I interviewed former National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski or something. He has said that, or prophesied, that the given current recession or it's a very high likelihood of class struggle or class war happening in America. And his advice on how to avoid it was basically redistribution of wealth, saying, you know, like the rich have to give some wealth back to the poor. And given the fact that it's highly unlikely on historical recent basis that the elite will ever share the wealth with the poor, I'd like to know, like, what is your, how do you think we can, get there? Like, and what role can we as students play in, you know, in improving this country?
Well, you know, I don't think it's going to be like we're going to all jump out in the street tomorrow with some pistols, you know what I mean? Because most people are not going to go there. They might tell you tonight, but when you look around tomorrow, won't be anybody there. They will be in class. Be like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm down with the struggle, you know, and that won't happen. I mean, obviously, I mean, we don't know the dynamic how it will play out, because the interesting thing, Brzezinski actually said also something interesting recently when somebody was talking about how the Russians were putting some ships in the port of Caracas or somewhere around in Venezuela, and saying they were flexing muscle. This was after they had They had had that conflict with the Georgians and crossed the borders and all of that, stuff that had happened with the people from the Rose Revolution, whatever it's supposed to be. But anyway, so what Brzezinski said, somebody said, well, don't you think that this is really bad? They're really showing out, and this is going to be warfare, and this is going to be really dangerous. She said, oh, I'm not worried about it because the Russians only control 5% of the world's GDP. I said, good God Almighty, that's a cold man right there. In other words, they don't have any money. They're not in control of anything. America's in control of a lot of things. But internal problems, and this is where we always knew that the vulnerability was never from the outside. It was always from the inside because, first of all, we're here. And secondly, that we are uniting more and more. So the irony of Obama may be that he raised the issue of change, but I don't think he wanted to raise it as strongly as it may get raised. People are saying, well, I want to bail out too. Who isn't saying that one? Everybody is. And the question is, what do we do? I mean, people were accusing him of talking about redistribution. Now I'm talking about nationalizing the bank. Well, who ever thought America was going to come to a point where a Lindsey Graham would talk about the nationalization of the banks? They've got to save capitalism. So they're going to have to start doing something. And that's the role of the current bailouts, is to save the capitalist structure as it exists. It's not going anywhere right now, but it is bringing up a conversation that people have really never thought of. People are caught saying this is capitalism, and nowhere did we think 30, 40 years ago that somebody was going to say in large numbers that, wait a minute, capitalism isn't working. Nobody thought universal health coverage, while it may be very minimal, is still a big step for the United States. And I think that the reason is because, as we've always said, and when I say we, I'm talking about those of us who are in the Black Panther Party, the majority of people in this country are white people, okay? And when I say white people, people don't go around calling themselves Lithuanian Americans, you know what I mean? They might, but they probably don't. No, French American, People are not doing it. When you get here, you're white, because as against black, versus black. Now, black people have always been poor from the get-go. White people came here as immigrants were poor, the 1880s immigrants. So people, you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry, masses people. All the poor Europeans that came here, nobody knew how to pronounce their name, they all became Green or Jones or something, right? That's it. That's who most white Americans are. The ones who go back to the Mayflower, is like 10 of them, right? And got that basic hard wealth, But the most of them came in that big wave when the call was put out for industrial workers. Now, they've always taken a position of some kind of privilege, and not understood their relationship to the rest of the people, because there's been this notion that you might be poor and living in the trailer park, but you're white and you're a Christian and you're not gay. That's the theory of white people today. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no money, but what the hell, you're white. And that's the sad part. But if white people in America decide to embrace a revolutionary ideology, it's all over but the shouting. Now, white people are doing that. What happened with Obama